Okay, looks like we're getting our webinar ready. We're live on YouTube, welcoming our audience on the YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us today. Just give everybody a moment to get into the webinar space, and we will start right on time. We have about a minute. Again, for those of you on YouTube, all the information about the webinar or how to get more information will be available to you in the description notes below. If you're have not subscribed to the channel, please we encourage you to do that because there's lots of good material. We're always putting more and more out. So let me go ahead and start the webinar on Zoom also. We're waiting for the audience to trickle in. And again, just give everybody a moment. And once we do, we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you on Zoom, as always, you can leave your questions in chat or in the Q&A, and we will answer them as they come up, or we will address them at the end. We are scheduled for a full 45 minutes, but this probably may take anywhere from 30, 35 minutes, possibly to full 45, depending on how deep we'll go into the content and Q&A. This is a little bit, the theme is a little bit different. As you can see, it's power business decisions with cloud scale analytics. So it is a very data-centric webinar, but encourage you to stay to the end. You will see that we're going to tie this whole thing in with the PMO data that's more relevant for those of you in the PMO space. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Alex Rodov, and he will get the webinar started. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for stopping by, for watching, and we're excited to go through this topic, power business decisions with the cloud scale analytics. Now everything is all about the cloud and the scalable. So let's dive right in. We are here going to talk about a few things. So we're going to talk about why it matters, bring some numbers, bring some statistics, understanding why this data matter or data-centric organization is important, and what kind of value we can get from it. And number two, we're going to talk about modernizing your data and analytics state. So we're going to dive into some of the specifics of how can we actually make this modern and how we can make this stable. And three, we're going to talk about some of our solutions, Friday Report and other Microsoft and Snowflake related solutions that are part of our framework here. And we'll talk about next steps. All right. So why it matters? Why it matters? And here we have, we can just describe it in this four different pillars here. So for the employees and employees' experience, which the driving analytics modernization, right? What do we achieve? For the employees, we get the customer experience, right? We get the experience which leads to improved customer satisfaction and loyalty, right? What also we get? We get improved employee experience that boosts morale and lead to more engaged workforce. Intelligent operations to optimize energy usage and improved productivity. And lastly, the foster innovation with products that enable near real-time insights, right? So we get a lot of the oxygen into organization by feeding the information in the right way and let the organization breathe full breath. So based on the research from McKinsey in this case, we have this fascinating statistics where we see 23 times more likely to acquire a new customer. So when the organizations that are efficiently, activate the data usage, they promote the modernization of data. They get real effects on their customers. 23 times more likely to acquire customers, 19 times more likely to retain customers, and 19 times more likely to be profitable as a result of that data modernization exercise. So obviously, all the decisions, everything that we do as far as business decisions, we need to be as much educated as possible, and data is a big part of it. So what are the challenges that we're facing, organizations are facing within their data modernization or data strategy or data engineering processes? Siloed systems and data, right? We have all kinds of departments, and turns out they all use different systems, and they don't talk to each other, right? That's one of the problems. Another problem would be the technical platforms requiring advanced skills, right? They're skills that they need to have either in-house in order to be able to process the data. So the other would be the gaining BI adoption to streamline data sharing. So data sharing, making sure it's secure, making sure we can actually securely share the information with each other. That presents a challenge as well. Delivering on the promise of analytics with limited resources, and costly integration and ongoing maintenance and whatnot, and on, right? And finishing with the security and permissions. So all these challenges are there and are real, and that's supposedly our solution would be able to help accommodate and overcome those challenges. When we're talking about the complexity, we're talking about the way it may look like. So here's a kind of visual representation of how it may look like. You can see at the bottom here, we look at the enterprise data sources, and there are all kinds of data sources: multi-cloud, Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, or others. On-premises data sources, external streaming data sources, and so on and so forth. And all of this chaos of data sources needs to be somehow routed through technical teams, computing and storage and ingestion, and at some point needs to be, sorted out all the way up to the business teams to start consuming this information, making sense of this information. So we're looking at data copies across the board. We're looking at the limited interoperability, right? We're looking at data may potentially be exposed outside, or maybe exposed to the wrong person even within the organization. But all kinds of questions, all kinds of complexities comes up when we're looking at this. And we're working tirelessly within our company to make sure we can go through this process very, very efficiently, quickly, and get to the value of data, and squeeze the value from the data as easily as possible and consistent as possible. So modernizing your data and analytics estate. So what do we mean by this, right? And we're kind of looking at this as brushing our data, brushing this process, in this several steps. So step number one is to unifying your hybrid and multi-cloud data estate that enables you to centralize and curate all your business data within a single governed hub, set the stage for transformative analytics. Building a fit for the purpose and analytical models that reduces the time and effort to unlock impact for the data, with the ability to streamline the development of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So that is important to mention, that we also need to kind of bring this information to the organization, so we're set for success in building those top of the art top technology based on AI and machine learning. Then the responsibility to democratize analytics with the data governance is to be able to, share the data, be able to make the data available for the right people, and make the technology so that is there to be used. And then number 4 is to set the solution to scale, and equip your teams with access to powerful self-service tools, innovative tools that are collaborative and secure. Be able to scale across departments, and your business is growing, hopefully, and you don't need to change your wheels sort of behind, on the way when your company is growing. So that is something we should also keep in mind. What are we dealing with as far as capabilities, right? We're looking at the comprehensive, accurate integration, right? And then when we have the integration, ready and accurate, then we need to kind of prep the information. So these 2 steps are capabilities extremely important to have within your data strategy. Set those integrations, streamline the data, improve the data quality continuously, increase the flexibility and scalability of those integrations. Now it's, the more data we have, more data every day, and its progression is very impressive, and we double our data almost at a certain time. I don't know the numbers exactly, but the amount of data is growing, that's for sure, and the quality of those integrations is something that we're looking at to build and to establish very, very firm. And then once the data is there, then we need to do the preparation. We need to simplify, we need to process it, we need to decompose it, we need to scrub it, and make sure that the data is prepared for the forthcoming analytics to drive more meaningful insights, right? Decision making with the intelligence data transformation. So we get to prepare the data so we can make more sense of it. Oops. The next slide. There we go. Integrate all your data into a unified analytics solution. So we're looking at in this whole data strategy, and you can see we'll talk about other things here, but the effects of the data lake, and there are many components that make up a unified data and analytical solution, or analytical fabric, if you will, to drive informed decision making across the organization. So we're looking at the data lakes, we're looking at the data integration, and that's the component that we look at as a part of a bigger picture. The other capabilities we're also looking for is to powerful fit for purpose models and sophisticated data warehouses. So fit for purpose, that would mean we need to streamline the specific, practical information fast enough, right? We need to build and organize machine learning models. We need to, build and organize ourselves with the business in order to identify those revenue streams, identify new insights that business is looking for, and match and pair it with the data we're pulling into our data sets. So that's, fit for purpose models is something that we would look at the capabilities of the solution. Sophisticated data warehouses, those would have to accommodate all kinds of attributes. Those have to accommodate all kinds of volumes. Those would have to be across shared and secure at the same time. So we need to be able to also leverage historical information So the sophistication of the modern cloud native data warehouses would allow you to do all of this. And it's hard to do this with some of the traditional, database or traditional conventional database architectures. But modern cloud native data warehousing solutions will allow you to have a very sophisticated data warehouses, data lakes that you may want to use in your organization. All right, so best in breed data science and warehousing. In our specific cases, we try to use and utilize some of the best in class. The Friday report is the framework for us to collect and connect all the information and understand and process this information. The Snowflake is the actual ultimate data layer, where physically everything is stored and processed on top of under the Friday report in this case. And obviously the power of data scientists to get and analyze this information, squeeze that value from it, and make sure the organization benefit. Where additional capabilities we're also trying to get into place here is the scalable governance across the enterprise, and that would be essential for the responsible data sharing, right? Without a scalable governance framework, the data sharing can quickly become chaotic and manageable. So by implementing scalable governance, organizations we can ensure that they're able to effectively manage and govern data across the entire enterprise. So responsible data sharing. This is where we foster the culture of innovation, enable quick, near real-time responses, where we can quickly react to some of the changes that we're seeing in the business, and that gives us that edge to make business decisions, to innovate while getting responsible shared information at the right time. And once we go through all the data warehousing and mechanics of data lake and processing and frameworks and data science, picking the right information from it, we need to now start visualizing this information. We need to start creating those visuals, and sometimes a lot of times we specifically use Microsoft Power BI for those purposes to present and represent and send that message to or be able to create the message so it can be read by our users. And obviously at this time we're looking at real-time analytics. We don't want to do once a day batch, ETLs or stuff like that. This is all history. These days, we want to see data as it comes. We want to see data real time now, and sometimes that gives us the edge in the business to make a business decision timely.
Alex, we do have a question. I want to, if you want to address it now. Does it have to be Power BI? What if we use comes with Excel or Tableau or ClickUp?
It's the visualization is kind of the way you present the message, and you can represent the message in Tableau, ClickView, Excel, whatever feeds, whatever you choose in as your visualization tool. We're talking about the overall framework, ability to actually get the data, make sure it's consistent, make sure it's the right quality, make sure we can scale with it, make sure we can process it, we can have analytics on top of it, and then we can represent it, and then we want to see it real time. That's kind of overall message. And this one slide here is underlying the security and governance across all these capabilities, where we need to do all of this secure and according to our governance, according to our regulatory compliance and whatnot. Depends on the industry we're in. We may be in financial industry, we may be in healthcare industry, maybe different industry requires different rigor in the way the governance is required. So now if we talk about our specific solution, and as you can see from the titles here, it has Microsoft Snowflake and Friday Report components in it. And let's dive into some of those things that we're looking to uncover here. The lake-centric and open foundation, this is where we create a lake or a repository where we collect all the data consistently and efficiently. So the number two, center off enablement of every user. So we basically account for all kinds of users across departments. We're not siloed to any one department or anything like that. Accelerated time to value. So this is where we're providing the real time, right? We don't have years or months or multiple years sometimes to generate or push data from point A to point B. We have to get this information flowing basically very, very quickly as soon as we get it. So very accurate and accelerated timelines to get this done. Persistent security and governance, obviously cannot ignore this. We want to make sure it's integrated with your services, integrated with your governance policies and so on. And connected intelligence for all applications. So making sure, whatever the visualization tools or Excel or Tableau or Power BI or any other visualization, or just custom reports or anything like that, or just tabular view, you can just look at the data and sometimes make sense of it. Anyway, these are the 5 components that we're driving with the solution. And specifically here, we're looking at some of the components here. I mean, again, Power BI, this is what we choose, being a Microsoft partner for so many years, and Snowflake partner for so many years. So we have a lot of these components kind of baked into the one solution. We have Power BI where we build and drive the visualizations. The Lake First, SaaS, these are the components that we built into the solution. We have everything online. Everything is kind of quick and easy to deal with. No data movement. This is an important aspect, and this is where we're getting into the cloud native aspects of it. No data movement. That means that once we have the data in, we do not move that data. We do not create duplicates. We don't create additional versions of it. Once we have this data, we may create some modifications to it, but we only would keep the deltas of that data. So we'd never, even if we create, test and development environments, then we would only keep the original data once, and then metadata-based create additional environments from it. So let's just say if you have a petabyte of data within your data lake, and you need to create a clone of that, we would do this basically without actually cloning the petabyte of data, right? It's a very interesting topic, but this is a very important, especially when we talk about cloud, and not to get into the spiral of spending in the cloud. Some of these things are very, very important to keep in mind. Proprietary lock-ins and all the layers and stuff like that. We have all kinds of protection for the data, and built-in security and governance. Again, process to approve and process to request certain information is also kind of streamlined and automated. Transparency, right? You get to see. Understand what you pay for processing, you pay for computing, you pay for how much you pay, which time you pay more, which time you pay less, how scalable it is vertically, horizontally. Everything is very, very transparent and very tuned up. So you can actually get some alerts saying, hey, you're maybe processing too much, or you're storing too much, or you're storing too little. So all those things are in place. And this is a quick, I'm not gonna embellish on this too much, but as you can see, we have all kinds of PMO data. We have all kinds of data coming. This is coming from the bottom here, through either through our like Microsoft Azure, processing of this information. But it's ultimately gets into the Snowflake, right? Where we use the Snowflake as our data layer, data platform. So for those who are familiar with the Snowflake, we know that. But the Snowflake is a cloud native solution, cloud native data platform, where we build on top of all kinds of data warehouses, data applications, data scientists working on within the Snowflake. And the Friday report is the framework that allows us to do this very, very efficiently. Connect to all the data sources, process all the data sources, understand what these data sources are, work with structured, unstructured, semi-structured data sets, things like that. And ultimately, we would yield it to those visuals, Tableau or Excel or Power BI or anything that is available to pull information from conventional methods of connecting to a database or data platform like Snowflake.
Alex, I actually have a few questions that came up on this slide. So the first question is, can we integrate SAP, Oracle, or Workday data into this platform?
Yes, SAP, Oracle, Workday. We do have mechanisms to source the data from those solutions into Friday Report with Snowflake behind it, and yes, and create the real time. Well, it depends on the settings of on the the way that SAP is very complex and maybe set up very differently. But we do have customers that do that, SAP specifically, the Workday as well, and yeah, absolutely.
I think you answered the second question. I think you said real time. There was another question. Is it real time?
Right. So some solutions are designed more, usually more the more modern solutions, the newer versions of the solutions, they are account for the real time. As soon as if there's a real time availability of the actual source solution, we guarantee that we will take this information real time. As soon as you push the button on that solution, we get the feed to update and stream that update through Snowflake to Friday Report and get this on either Excel or Tableau, say, or Power BI.
And the third question is, I know this whole theme is Microsoft, and you have Microsoft Azure listed as a cloud. What if our organization is on AWS?
So we can connect to AWS as well. There's a couple of things. We build it initially on using Microsoft Azure service and connections. Yeah, there's right next to it the same option. It can be done on AWS. If you do have information flying from AWS to, in this case, Friday Report in Snowflake, then it depends on where do you have your own Snowflake installed. So in our case, if you come in and say you're using this as completely SaaS, software as a service, using Friday Report as a solution, it would be Microsoft initially because we use it initially on Microsoft. And if you do have the stuff that is coming from AWS, then you would just need to pay for the traffic that we would incur by pulling the data from AWS to our solution. So that's a traffic additional cost that may be a difference, as opposed to if you would have everything on Azure, right? But we have some of the customers, and they say, "Hey, we want to use our own Snowflake, and our own Snowflake is already on AWS." So in that case, we can use Friday Report with the customer own Snowflake within their AWS. So their stuff coming, their files or ETLs or Snowpipes that are working with AWS S3 buckets, for example, into AWS based Snowflake, then you don't pay for that traffic. So there's kind of nuances there to make it more efficient from, let's just say, you don't need to send the information cross cloud unnecessarily, and we can work with you to kind of walk you through this process. So when you set up your cloud or multi-cloud, you don't overpay, but it will still work. And sometimes so be it. You can pay for the traffic. It's not a big deal in many cases. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. There's no more questions at this time.
Thanks for the question, Phil. Appreciate it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please comment. Put your questions in the comments. I will be happy to sit down with you and address any of those comments. There you go, Yuri. Then it's all you now.
Yeah, thank you. If you don't mind driving this for me. So just a few words, couple of minutes. Actually, this is gonna be a shorter webinar. So how do we get started? Well, you could certainly, and I left all that information in chat, and for those of you on YouTube, will be in the description notes. You can certainly schedule a personalized demo of the platform based on your specific use case, and the request to activate a free account. Now, when I say the request is the free account is not ready yet, but we are taking and building the list, our waiting list. So as soon as we launch the access to the free account, we'll be able to invite you to it, and that is going to be a SaaS-based Friday Report access to Friday Report platform. If you can go, yeah. So, and this just one slide to kind of finish with. This is we created this as a enterprise onboarding experience, and what this process does is sort of I call it the crawl, walk, run type of a process, because as you probably heard throughout the theme of this presentation, certainly converting your data from legacy databases into the unified data platform is a huge undertaking, and we don't expect everyone to take a dive in right away. So there are a few ways that you can engage with us. Number one, as I already mentioned, the free account, you will have access as an individual user to absolutely free. It's not a free trial. It's going to be a permanent free account. And if that is all you need, you're welcome to keep it, and you don't need to go any further. We'll do a complimentary 1 hour sort of the environment walkthrough for you, especially in the initial batch of users, because we certainly like your feedback and want to make sure you have a very pleasant onboarding experience. Now, if you choose to move to the next step, we can conduct a sort of a proof of concept, what we call a hackathon. It's a 5-day prototype where we actually take the environment and connect some of your data sources, up to 3, right? So then you could choose anything at that point, whether it's Excel's or even if you push the data from SAP at that point, or any other tool, we could demonstrate to you how the platform operates and how efficient it is, how it produces real-time reporting based on that the use case. Again, it's a short, and it's why it's called POC, prototype. Now, if that is successful, then obviously you find this is a tool that you can use in your enterprise or environment, then we can move to a pilot. Again, we could take one department, and now configure a fully functioning solution and deploy it to you, right? Again, one department at a time, make sure that it's functioning. That typically, probably the duration of that is 1 to 3 months, because we definitely want to get the user acceptance, the feedback, and hopefully, and again, at that point, you may stay with that one department, or, obviously, if that is really functioning, and if that is your, company-wide data solution, we implement across the whole enterprise. And the last but not least, we of course can provide, which we do for many of our clients, what we call managed services. That's where our sort of a engineering team is engaged, and we provide ongoing sort of a holding support to you. It's almost like a mentorship type of service where we don't only fix bugs and work on tickets, but we also kind of provide this ongoing consultation, best practices, engage with screen shares, and it's really sort of advanced managed services engagement. So I kind of wanted to leave you with that. Our information is in chat. Please reach out. There's a direct link to set up a meeting with us. And for those of you watching on YouTube, all this information is also going to be available below in the description. And like I said, this particular webinar, we are finishing a bit early, but I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time and allowing us to share this information with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. And again, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.